Okay, so today's the day I'm going to start on this project. Might not get it done today, but we're going to hook up a auxiliary fan. I've already mounted the fan onto the radiator, but I want a fan that I can turn on while you're idling, like when you're on the trail and you're waiting on other people to catch up or such, and you don't want the engine to overheat. I want to see what the effect of having an external fan. So I've got some wiring from some Hella lights that I had from the P38. So I've got the relay left over, didn't use. And anyway, we're going to see if we can get this thing going. So let's get started. I've got a switch, auxiliary fan. I'm just going to get power for the switch from a panel jumper from a fuse that's not being used. Here's my relay. I am going to put a fuse before the power, and I'm not actually going to put it to ground here. I'm going to put it to ground on the body. So the first thing I'm going to do is run this black wire from where the relay is going to live all the way to where the switch is. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm just going to lay the relay right here in this little compartment. I might attach it, I might not. I might just lay it there. And then I'm going to run that black wire, and I'm going to hide it in this. So pretty much going to have to undo all these zip ties, put that wire back in there, and run that wire all the way around. That's it. So kind of a drive run. I think I've got enough slack, so now I'm going to start taking these zip ties off, put it in the casings. Alright, so new idea. I'm using the rear window switch out of a salvage yard. Number 2 red brown is power, number 4 is ground. Now the SE option did not have, my car was SE, so it was an option, did not have the rear parking sensor, but the wiring is still there. So I'm betting that number 2 power, black, is probably ground. Now the wiring diagrams is only for up to 2000. I don't have the refresh diagram, but I'm going to see if there's actually power coming right there, and then I won't even have to go to the fuse box. Kind of interesting. The shade of the black is just a little bit different. I don't know. This just because that D2 I found in the salvage yard was little, maybe more sun damage, or maybe they changed the color a little bit. Well, it was a good idea, but this will not fit. It won't fit there, so I am going to have to do a little bit of splicing. Alright, so I got the wiring to the fan done. It's going right here, and I put it in this, and this is going to go right here. I'm basically just going to hide all those wires right in this box. I'm assuming that the black is a ground and the blue is power. I think if you switch those, it's just switch the direction the fan's running in. But I'm going to assume that. And so I've got those 2 wired. I've got ground going to this spot. That's just a ground spot. And then I've got power going to number 87 on the relay. Yeah, like how I pronounce that one. So I've got everything test wired. I've got power going from 29. I used a jumper. Now it's from the 29 spot, and that's for the ACE. I don't have ACE on this, so I kind of like that. I'm not messing around with anything electrical for the car, but actually that fuse is hot, so that's nice. I was able to jump off that, but because I'm jumping off something that's not used, I feel pretty good about that. I'll wire that up nicer, cover that, and then I've got so that wire white wire is going to the red, no, I'm sorry, it's going to the red and brown, so that's power. And then I've got the black one going to the relay, going to the red and brown wire. No, I'm sorry, the orange and black wire. So this is orange and black going to the relay, and again it's going to 86. So red has got a fuse in it going to the battery. 85 is going to ground, and let's try it out. So the engine's on. As you can see, I don't have the fan shroud on. The fan is blowing a little bit because I think it's just getting some of that air pulling in. Now it's really blowing. The fan is really blowing now. It's hard to tell. So I had to take this off. There was just no way to fish the wire through there. Got both wires going to come up here. I'm going to fish them up through and rehook everything up. So I did have to take this piece off just to be able to get access, get my hand up there and get the black wire up here. It goes to the to the relay. Alright, so I got everything buttoned back up. Actually, I had a whole wire that was kind of hanging out, so that was nice. Get that fixed. Here's my switch. You notice it's upside down, and the color is a little off, which I actually don't mind because it's something different. So it's alright. The real test is taking it out for a test drive and coming to a stop and a stoplight, a long stoplight, and see if it makes any difference on the temperature. Alright, so actually it does not work. So we're going to work on, see if we're actually getting power, because I don't know whether any power is getting there because I did not have ACE, so maybe there's no power there. So we're going to hook it up to another fuse. So we know our fuse is hot because going off number 2, so I know I can release the fuel cap, so the fan should be spinning, but obviously it is not. So maybe it's our switch. You know, there's not a ground on our switch. When I did something similar with the P38, I didn't need to ground it, but we're gonna see. We're gonna use another switch and just see if it's a switch. I just wired it, holding the wires. Okay, so I did a little experiment, just set up a little ground wire, seeing if it needed to ground that. That didn't work, so I'm gonna try another simpler switch. So I've removed this plate. I might put this switch like right here. But I think just for today, I'm just going to let it dangle right here. I would really like to use one of these switches so it looks a little more factory. But that might be another day's project, figuring that one out. Can't seem to get this switch working. Alright, so I've got it working. I've moved this back down to where the ACE was. So I need to put that 10 fuse back in the fuel so I can get gas. Let's do that real quick. But so it's turned on while I got the key in the ignition. Also like that because I want the key to be able to be in the ignition in case I leave the fan on and I don't want to drain the battery. But I think the air might be going the wrong way because it seems to be blowing in my hand. I don't feel anything coming through here, so I might need to switch these wires. Let's see, just so I don't get confused, I got blue to yellow, black to green. So I did have to switch the wires here. There was blowing, it was sucking air, so it did. I was right that if you switch the wires, it will change the direction of the fan. So that was relatively easy. I'll put the shroud back on. You won't see this 16-year-old look like he's working on his Jeep CJ7 look. Anyway, put this on so it looks a little nicer, and go from there. Alright, so I got the switch just dangling right here. I'm going to keep on working because I really would like for it to look factory with the switch right here, but it works. So I'm just going to go with that for right now, today, and we're going off-roading, so I wanted to see if this really makes any sense, because if it's not going to do anything to the engine temperature, then there's really not any big reason to do a lot of research in making this switch work, right? Because if it's not doing anything, I might just undo all the wiring anyway. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, so I finally figured it out. Black goes to black. So to the relay goes to the black wire, and to the orange and black wire goes to power. And this switch will work. So this is the rear wiper switch. So let's try one more time. Put this down real quick. So fan's not on. Here's the switch. Yeah, finally figured it out. Now I'm just going to have to take this off again, fish the wires through there. So again, I've got it all wired up now. I'm not using this red and black wire at all. I've got the orange and black wire going to power, to the fuse box, and the black wire going to 86 on the relay in the engine compartment. And again, I'm using switch C0079. So normally we'd be over here, but I'm going to use a different one. I'm going to put it right here so it'll fit actually upside down. So it works. The key has to be in position 2. Turn it on, and the fan is running. Don't know whether you can hear that, but yeah, I can hear it's running. Success. And I like that it's using a factory switch. It's a little different, so it stands out a little bit. I like it. Okay, so here's my assessment of the auxiliary fan. I think it does make a small difference. I don't know if it's significant. Maybe 3 degrees cooler. I wouldn't use it on a day-to-day basis. I don't think it's necessary. I think if you're in high traffic, you know, if you've been in a big traffic jam on an interstate, or you're taking it off-road and you're kind of stuck in the middle of a pack, and you know, you're on the trail and it's just kind of getting hotter and you're just idling there for a long time, yeah, maybe it can help a little bit, but not significant, I don't think. Maybe 3 degrees or so, 3, maybe 4. Anyway, I'm glad I did it just to know whether it actually does anything. But does it, you know, really change anything? Of course, this is worthless, but does it really change anything? A little bit. Not a lot, though. Don't expect anything big. I do like having just a nice factory-looking switch, though. Okay, so here's my assessment of the auxiliary fan. I think it does make a small difference. I don't know if it's significant. Maybe 3 degrees cooler. I wouldn't use it on a day-to-day basis. I don't think it's necessary. I think if you're in a high traffic, you know, if you've been a big traffic jam on an interstate, or you're taking it off-road and you're kind of stuck in the middle of a pack, and you know, you're on the trail and it's just kind of getting hotter and you're just idling there for a long time. Yeah, maybe it can help a little bit, but not significant, I don't think. Maybe 3 degrees or so. 3, maybe 4. Anyway, I'm glad I did it just to know whether it actually does anything. But does it, you know, really change anything? Of course, this is worthless, but does it really change anything? A little bit. Not a lot, though. Don't expect anything big. I do like having just a nice factory looking switch, though.